Sup Net, she seems legit here, coming to you with my very first sewing video on how to make a scrunchie. We about to add some flair to our hair. Cheesy, but here we go. What we need is a sewing machine, cute fabric, sewing needles, thread, pins, scissors, choice of elastics, measuring tape. In this video, my measurements I'm using is 22 by 5 inches, and as well as safety pins. So let's get started. Pass me the pins. We're going to fold the fabric in half, having the right sides facing each other. So now we should be facing the wrong side, and to tell the difference between the two sides, the wrong side is usually where the pattern and the color is more faded and eventually will become the inside of your scrunchie. We are pinning the raw edges together to make sure that everything is in line and pinning only 3/4 of the way, leaving a small gap so then later on we can turn the scrunchie right side out. And then we're going to continue pinning all the way to the end. I'm going to be using a 3/8 seam allowance so I don't lose so much fabric. And now we're going to be taking it over to the sewing machine. So make sure you always backstitch. You don't want your scrunchie to unravel because that ain't cute. We're now going to want the short edges to meet for the very first time and eventually become one. We're going to attach a safety pin on the side where there is no gap and push it all the way, making its way downtown. Here's a big warning for y'all. Make sure you don't twist the fabric. Don't twist it. Or else we'll end up with a twisted scrunchie later on, and that would be the absolute worst, and we would have to undo our sewing job, and we don't have time for that. So we also want to make sure that their seams and interests are aligned. This is crucial, guys. Make an effort. Don't rush into it. We want a relationship between the seams to be flawless, and if not, close to perfect. Damn, this turned into a love story. Anyways, we want the edges to be permanently together forever because they're so into each other, figuratively and literally. As you can see, my fabric barely has any stretch, and we can do this step by hand, but honestly, I'm just too lazy that I'm going to do this by taking it to the machine. This decision is entirely up to you. The fabric that I'm using frays a lot, so I'm making sure that I'm holding onto the fabric tight and it doesn't get caught on the needle to avoid it from running. Once they've been locked down, we'll be going through some labor by pushing everything out of the gap to making the scrunchie right side out. We want to push and push until we see the shape of a headband. Congratulations, you got a headband. You thought I was going to say something else, eh? But this is what we want it to look like. That seam that we sewed looks flawless, and the other seam that I'm about to show you is kind of off, but you know what? People make mistakes and we learn from it. Enough with the love stories, and let's choose the elastics. We have the white elastic and a hair tie. I personally love the hair tie just because it already fits on my wrist and I don't have to do extra work. If you were to choose the white band, you would have to measure your wrist and add 2 centimeters onto that. So for this video, I'm going to be using a hair tie. So you want to cut it open and attach a pin onto one end and make its way through the headband to make it look like a scrunchie. So I'm also holding on to the other end as well so that it doesn't get lost and we don't have to fish anything out. Switching it over to the cross stitch, making sure that our elastic is tightly secured and won't break later on. So now we have a scrunchie. So the problem is we still have this gap that we want to close. So we're not going to be doing this with the sewing machine. We're actually going to close it with our hand. And we're going to use a sewing technique called the slip stitch or the ladder stitch. We're going to take the needle from the inside of the fabric, then pull it out and then realign the seams. If you want a more detailed diagram of how to do this stitch, it'll be over on my blog. So let's continue. We're going to take the needle and take the bottom of the fabric, and instead of taking it straight down, we're going to take it from the side. Take fabric from the top, take it from the side. Take fabric from the bottom, take it from the side. So every 5 stitches, we're gonna make sure that we yank a little bit onto the thread. This will actually hide the sewing job, just like this. And now it's looking like a scrunchie. Look how fabulous it looks. Looks fabulous on my arm. Super cute. And it's gonna look more fabulous in my hair. So I hope you enjoy, and let all you do be done in love.